up, y'all? I had to come back here because I had to share my horrible experience about my Tinder date. It's some evil people out here. Always know that a person will always be revealed. They will always at some point show their true colors. So what I learned from him was that he was a very controlling man, literally. So when I first moved to Texas, I was like, oh my God, this is different. This is a bigger market. It's gonna be a whole lot of people that I can meet. So what did I do? I signed up to the Tinder app. So pretty much the first guy that I guess messaged me, I responded to. I looked at his profile and I saw that he was okay. He wasn't bad looking. He was educated. He messaged me first. So when he messaged me, it says, hey, you're the first girl I've been attracted to on this app. I would like to get to know who you are mentally. And I was like, oh, I let it sit there for about a day. I finally responded and I said, hey, carried on this long conversation. I got a good feel from him, but I still was iffy because I didn't know if I was being catfish. At this point, I'm being nice, but I'm giving him a hard time because I don't know what this is. So we carry on conversation and he's like, hey, I'm really not on here much. Is there a number I can reach you at? So I'm like, you want my number? Baby boy, we just met. What are you talking about? So I created a Google number with the 314 area code because even though I live in Texas, I'm from St. Louis, the show me state. You feel me? He was like, I promise you, I'm not catfishing you. I'm just a successful man. I got good credit. I got a good family. I'm a good guy. He just starts selling himself. And so I finally give him my number and we talk on the phone. And then I think it might have been later on that day or the next day, we ended up FaceTiming so that way I could see and know that he was real. Now, he was like a public figure, so I guess with that I'm really trying to make sure I'm trying to match everything up. I had already found all his accounts. I had investigated him and I was like, how long have you been living in Katy? And he was like, living in Katy? I don't live in Katy. He was like, with my job I have to travel. And so he was like, I was in Houston. As soon as I figured out that he didn't live in Katy or Houston, I was like, well, it was nice almost getting to know you. He's like, no, it's okay. With my job, I travel a lot. So it's all right. I can fly you out and we can meet. We can have dinner and meet. And I'm like, fly me out? As in, flued out? No, I'm good. I'm okay. When will you be back in Houston? He's like, I don't know, because they just had me there. And I'm like, I'll wait, that's fine. He said something like, it's like you keep trying to talk yourself out of getting to know me. And I was like, no, it's not that. It's just that I'm never anxious for anything. So he was like, it just seems like it's better to let's meet each other immediately. And then that way we can go on our separate ways if we're not interested. So I'm thinking to myself, I know you gonna like me because I'm Darra. Okay, boo-boo? He was like, I mean, we can be pen pals forever, but if we meet and we don't like each other, then nah. And so I'm like, I don't know. I'm thinking about, I'm like, okay, he's a successful man. I saw that, educated. I got a good feel actually on the phone, like our first conversations. And so of course I talked to my family and my friends and they're like, no, he should come to you. This is the first meet, he should come to you. And that's how I felt. But he said his job he said he didn't know when he was gonna be back. So I'm just like, you know what? This year has been really rough for me. I had just lost my sister, just moved here. And so I was just like, what the heck, Darra? I'm used to living a very strict life. So I'm like, let's do something spontaneous and fun, but yet romantic. Of course, he paid for everything. He paid for the flight. So yes, y'all, I got flued out. I never thought I would get flued out. Not for this anyway. So, but hold on, rewind. Before I got there, I had a get a feel for him and explain, don't expect anything. I didn't want him to think that I was the type of girl that was going to get there and sleep with him. So I, made sure, and I don't usually tell men that, but because this was kind of set up to be a more rushed situation because we don't live in the same town, it was almost like I made sure I had the disclaimer on there or whatever. And he's like, okay, that's fine. Maybe we can just cuddle. And I'm like, cuddle? I'm like, but I probably won't even want to cuddle with you either because I don't really know you. This is after 2 weeks. This is only after 2 weeks. He's like, well, okay, it's whatever, that's fine. Some stuff I felt like we were forced to discuss sooner that I would not normally discuss. I just feel like you have to hold back when you're meeting people because you don't know if you trust them enough or if it's even going to be anything for them to know certain information about you. I already did not like the thought of a distance relationship, especially with someone that I don't know at all. And just the fact that it consists of rushing. So I got there or whatever. He pulled up to the airport and it felt like I was getting in an Uber because I'm like, I don't know what car is picking me up. I'm a little nervous, but oh my God, y'all, it's insects out here. He hops out and he's like, dang, you look even better in person. And I was like, I heard what he said the first time, but I was like, what? He was like, I said, you look even better in person. And I was like, thank you. He was like, yeah, I got you a water or whatever. I see you got one already. I was like, yeah. It was so funny because it was so awkward. It was so new. It was so fresh. And like I said, I was ready for something new and spontaneous. So all that happens. He's asking me, what does your family say? What did they think? I said, oh yeah, my family had a bunch of murder jokes because I don't know you. I met you on an app and I'm flying here to see you. So my mom's immediately like, okay, you're gonna fly there and see him. She was like, if you get there and you don't like him, please don't tell this man that you don't like him because we're trying to see you come back home. We ride to the hotel immediately, I'm like, okay, what we eating? I love seafood, so we check our stuff in or whatever, and then we come back downstairs and ask the front desk, he's like, what's the top seafood place? What do you recommend here? And so we went to some place, I don't know if it's called Bodayan or something like that in Tulsa. I don't know what the name of it was. My first thoughts was that he was very talkative, and I didn't know if it was because he was nervous or what, but he talked a lot about his job, his career. I didn't necessarily think it was a bad thing because I'm like, I'm happy that you love what you do. That wasn't an issue for me. And so then he starts pulling out promos that they did on him, and he's like showing me, yeah, this is the latest promo, it is this and that, whatever. And I'm like, oh, it's good, whatever. Because I was like, you're a nice, successful man. I want to see what you do. That didn't turn me off. What did turn me off is that on that first date, I felt like he was not asking enough questions about me. Now, in our phone conversations, this man was like, I know that the next woman I'm with will probably be my wife. That's what I'm ready for. I decided at the age of this, whatever age, that's what I wanted. And he's just going all off of it, and I'm letting him talk because I like to listen to people. But always remember that people can make their mouth say anything. I'm just like, okay, so he wants the same thing. He wants a family. He's a career man. He's focused on his career just like me. Same thing. Because he had told me that that's what he dates with intent, I expected for our dinner date to go a little different. I thought that he was gonna be like drilling me, like trying to know about me, my family, and like digging like that. He did not on the date. He did not. I was annoyed. I was like, huh, okay. He kept messing with his phone. At one point, I was trying to help him download a video on his phone. The conversation was interesting because I was learning about him, his career, but it was like, after a while, I'm sorry, it's bees out here. After a while, he was just talking a little bit too much about it. And I'm like, I want to hear all of this, but you're the man. So I'm asking you questions. I'm like, so tell me about yourself. Tell me about your family. Tell me where you come from. And he goes in his storyline of that, whatever. But he did not ask me about my family, how many siblings I had. So in my mind, I'm like, red flag. So then, you know, I'm quiet, whatever. We finished the dinner, had lobster, and oh my God, the food was delish. The food, I'm gonna have to Google and find out what that restaurant was. So we get in the car. Then he starts asking me questions. But something about the questions just didn't seem authentic or deep enough for what he said he wanted. And so I'm thinking, like, you still don't know a lot about me. So I'm like, did you Google these questions or something? He laughed. He was like, what? No, this is what I want to know. I don't even remember what he asked, but it sounded like something off Google. So then I immediately think to myself, okay, Darra, you can't critique him about the questions that he chooses to ask you. You're you. He's who he is. Stop it. I'm used to men being super into me. And one thing I can say is that men have always been gentlemen that take me out on dates, meaning like they're very interested in me, so they're asking me a lot of questions that hold weight. He wasn't digging deep enough for someone who was looking for a wife. We head back to the hotel. We talked some more. It was a little uncomfortable because we ended up staying in the same hotel room. So at some point in our phone conversation, I did say, okay, I guess you're gonna get me. And I said, I want a separate room. When we got there, he didn't give me a separate room. And I'm like, so we're not in a separate room. And it was kind of like, okay, we got one evening, we still want to associate and talk with each other, so it doesn't make sense to have separate rooms. We don't even have time. So yeah, let's fast forward. Okay, never in my life have I ever kissed a guy on the first date. So I was like, oh, and I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, God, distance dating just feels so rushed. Everything gets rushed. I had to spend a night in the same room with this man. He kissed me. I don't know if he kissed me because, like, I don't know when I'm gonna see you, let me get a kiss. I don't know. He just kissed me at the airport, and I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, oh, well, it was nice. I had a nice time with you, whatever. What I picked up off the first date seemed a little pushy, like trying to get me to see a lot of things his way a little bit. And I guess I should look at that as a red flag. Time goes on, we're talking. A week later, I broke it off with him. Like, I basically said I wasn't interested in dating him anymore because it seemed like he texted more than he called. Somehow we end up talking, deciding that, okay, maybe the lesson for me is to not give up on people too quick, because I shuts it down. As soon as you do one thing, I'm like, what? He did what? Oh no, it's over. We decided that we were gonna date. So then things got better. Communication got better. We started to talk on the phone. We started to FaceTime, all the above. We would talk every day. He was a nice guy, great personality, all of the above. Like I said, he was driven. I always look for if a man is a God-fearing man, if he's a Christian. He said he was a God-fearing man or whatever, but he wasn't a Christian. He was Catholic, and I'm like, okay, whatever, long as he believes in God and you know, I was like, okay, we can make it work. At this point in my life, I'm like, I'm not gonna be too picky, but you need to believe in God. About 2 months pass, and everything is all good. He's like constantly, consistently talking to me about how much he sees a future with me, and texts me randomly to ask me, is it crazy that I'm always thinking about how our children would act or how they would look, and just random stuff, just always talking about family. And I'm like, well, this is a 36-year-old man who is a successful man. He could very well be ready for a family. I'm like, I said, I mean, I guess not if that's what you want. I mean, I don't know. But then it started turning into, he was always talking about children with me and babies. it's so soon. Why is he always talking about this? I'm like, is this game? Does he think this is what I want to hear? And then I'm like, he can't think it's what I want to hear, because in a previous phone conversation, he had said, you seem like the career type. He was like, most women, they pride themselves on wanting to be a mom and this, and that. And I was like, hold on, boo-boo. Don't get it twisted. I'm a career woman, but I do want a family. I said everything is about timing. And obviously, it just was not my timing to have a family, to get married, to have children. Now I'm thinking back, I'm like, was he picking my brain? Was he just trying to see what I wanted so he could do his manipulating, or what? I see a future with you. I want a future with you. This and that, whatever, just really landed on real thick. It just grosses me out now. But then something weird happens. He's like, okay, I gotta go to Seattle with my job. And I'm like, okay, be safe or whatever. We talk on the phone that day. We FaceTime that day. But what I didn't know is that he was going to Europe next. And what I didn't know is that that was a vacation that he said was already planned. And I'm like, oh, okay, what's in Europe? Oh, I'm meeting my family there. Hopefully we'll all get along. And I'm like, what? Just not a lot of information. I'm like, so you're going to Europe. Most of the times people plan this stuff, so maybe this is something that's been planned. You didn't mention anything about that you had a vacation. None that week did he mention anything, or the week before did he mention that he had a vacation coming up. You tell me when you're going everywhere else. Why didn't I said this is something exciting? Why you didn't discuss it with me? He tells me, yes, I did. Hand on the Bible, this man never told me that he had a vacation planned and that he was going and that he was gonna be there for 2 weeks. Red flag, red flag. I'm like, okay, so we met once. We were supposed to meet in Orlando, but then his job, he had to be at work too late and flights had to get moved, and so whatever, that trip was thrown off. As soon as that second trip was canceled, I don't know why, something in my mind was like, maybe that's God just saying, okay, y'all, slow down, it's plenty of time, you'll be okay, you'll see each other. Then he's like, well, I'm gonna be in Dallas, this and that, maybe I could get you a rental, whatever, and you can drive 4 hours. Darra don't drive. No, that's relationship stuff. This ain't a relationship. This is me getting to know you, we're dating. I'm not driving 4 hours to Dallas, sorry. I don't care if you're paying for it, I'm just not doing it. So, everybody got their stuff that they do. That's just nothing that I was about to do. I'm looking like, I don't even know what this is. I'm still getting to know you. I'm not doing that. And you flying me out and spending 6, 7, however much you spent on that flight, that was your choice. So that don't follow me. Then when he got to Europe, he was like, well, I can't talk on the phone because of the service or whatever. I can only text when I'm back in the room. So I'm like, okay. I'm like, ain't it apps and stuff or whatever? I'm like, whatever, it's his vacation, whatever, enjoy your vacation, that's fine. Because again, we just dating. The only problem I have is, stop, you're feeding me all these dreams and how much you like me. He said so much stuff, asking me personal questions and like deep questions to where I'm like, oh, well, maybe this man is for real. We kept getting into small arguments through text while he was on the trip. I didn't know you were going and you're trying to tell me that I knew, and I 100% know that I didn't know. It's another red flag. So what he said was, look, my dad is sick, he's dying. I wanted to take some time and have a getaway trip with him. And I'm like, oh, okay, if someone tell me their family is dying, I'm not gonna sit there and be like, what? No. So I immediately jumped into prayer mode. I'm like, okay, I'll pray for you. I'm sorry to hear that, whatever. Keep in mind, we've been talking to each other for 2 months. He's feeding me all this stuff, how great of a person I am, how wonderful I am, the future you want to spend with me, all the above, but never said anything about his dad being sick. So he's like, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about why he's sick or how he's sick. It makes me sad. I don't want to talk about it, just shutting it down. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll pray for you. And I said, you shouldn't say that he's dying. I said, God decides whether that's going to happen. I said, at this time, you should still be praying and you should still be in faith. But then I'm like, well, I saw your Snapchat and you're not posting any pictures of your family. Then he's like, all of my social media accounts are just for work, for recruiting or whatever, the job he did or whatever. And I'm like, then why are you posting pictures, vacation pictures of yourself then? If it's just for that, what would be wrong with posting a picture with your dad? Nothing would be wrong. So I'm like, that's weird. Me being the investigator I am, I go on to his Instagram and I look at some of the pictures of where he's tagging. 1 minute he's at the Blue Lagoon retreat or whatever in Europe or whatever. And so I'm checking all the tags, the locations that he's tagging, because something just didn't feel right. And so while I'm checking, I'm looking for another woman. I'm just gonna be honest, y'all. I was trying to be positive, you know, because I had been positive during the whole thing, but I was like, no, let me see. I want to see what's really going on. I didn't find any evidence of a woman, nor did I find any evidence of family. So then I'm just really confused. The only way I could have missed something is if, let's say he did have people on a trip with him and their pages were private, then maybe I would not be able to see. At this point, I don't know what's going on. I'm not saying that he's lying. I'm not saying he's not lying. I'm just like, something just feels weird. He was still consistently messaging me or whatever, I guess, when he would get back to the room. Of course, we were on different time zones. He never told me when he was coming back. Since when do you fly places and not say when you're coming back? Or say that you made it back safe? He does that when his job is flying him places, but all of a sudden for this vacation, I'm like out in the cold. I find out the day of, oh yeah, I'm heading to Europe, like it's just nothing. I don't talk to many people about what goes on in my little so-called dating life, but who I did talk to, they were like, well, if he travels a lot, maybe it's not a big deal. I'm like, no, it's a big deal, because it's Europe. You're going out of the country, and we ended up canceling our second meet. You never came back and said, well, I got a vacation happening the next week, and then when I get back, I'm going to schedule when we're going to meet again. He finally texts me 2 weeks. We were texting throughout while he was there, because he said there was no phone service. He couldn't talk on the phone. He gets back, I guess, Saturday or Sunday. I don't know which day. I start feeling some type of way, because I'm like, you haven't seen my face on FaceTime or heard my voice in 2 weeks. I didn't even know you were going, nor did I know when you were coming back. And the first thing, before you laid your head down on that pillow, you did not think to call me, Darra, and hear my voice or see my face. That was awkward to me. Let me tell you why it was awkward. Because some of you may be thinking, well, that's not bad. I'm sure he was on a different time zone and this and that. Before he left, he's just sending me songs. This song reminds me of you. This and that. I want a family with you. Just talking all this big talk. So it's like, if you're going to lay it on that thick, I'm going to need for your actions to back that up. Your actions backing it up would be you, I'm tired, all the above, but I want to see her face before I lay down. That's not what happened. And that's unacceptable in my world. He texts me Monday morning. And he's like, good morning. So I reply, good morning. Dead silence. A couple of hours pass, and I say, are you okay? And he's like, yeah. I was like, are you still out of town or what? He was like, no, I'm back here. I had to be at work first thing Monday morning. And I'm like, oh, okay. Oh, he's like, today is just not a good day. It's a very horrible day. Yeah. And I said, okay, what happened? He's like, it was just a very bad day. And I'm like, but what happened? And it's like, it was just a very bad day. And I'm like, that's weird. It's like, well, no need to talk about the past, blah, 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 blah. And so I said, well, I was expecting to hear from you when you got back, not you texting me good morning and then me not hearing from you. And he's like, when I got in, I passed out and this and that and whatever. I had a bad day. Just a bunch of yin yang. Never listen to that. That's no excuse. My dad told me a long time ago, if a man can't get on the phone and talk to you, make time for you, spend time with you, then he's not into you for real. I don't care how you want to see it. I don't care how you want to dress. he not into you. Move on. You're wasting your time. I noticed that anytime I would say something about the way I felt about something, about the communication thing, which he said he had a communication issue in the beginning. So I'm like, okay, he acknowledges it. That means he's working on it. No, it don't. So I'm like, this communication is weird. You acting crazy since you came back from town. I don't know what's going on. And he's like, I'm just tired. I told you that I had a long day. Tuesday hits and I'm like, yeah, but you still never called me. And I'm like, this is the stupidest conversation I've ever had. I don't even have I'm too full grown to be having this type of conversation at this point. That conversation was had Monday. And he's like, I'm headed to a run, and when I leave the run, I'm gonna go back home and go to sleep, and then I have to go back out to work to go to a dinner because we're having a speaker today or something like that. But it was almost like he was giving me all this information to kind of say that, yeah, so I'm still not gonna call you today because I gotta do this, I gotta do that. We all know that we make time for what we want to do. So I'm like, this is weird, because you could call me on the way to the event. You can call me when you get home before you pass out again. You could, all this stuff, you can do something about it if it's what you wanted to do. And later, I'm annoyed because I'm like, this man still has not called me. Something is going on. So I ended up, and y'all probably wonder, why didn't you call him? Yeah, the day before I did call him, he said he was asleep. And then got up and went to work the next morning and didn't have time to call me back. So I was like, I'm done at this point. You know, I've passed out again, this and that, or whatever. So I sent a message just telling him what my dad told me about a man who don't pick up the phone. And I also told him, you told me that you wanted a different outcome this time around. You said that you wanted the next woman to be your wife. You was ready for a family. And then you turned around and told me you saw all this stuff with me. You wanted a family with me. Sending me songs that remind you of me. And this is over a course of 2 months. You turn around and you don't have time. You can't make time to pick up the phone and talk to me. And now some may say, Darra, pull it back, get out your emotions. But I'm a human being, and I was annoyed because I'm like, well, what's the point of saying all this and doing all this, but your actions aren't meeting up? I said, you said that you had a communication issue yourself. I'm only trying to fix that. I'm only trying to make it so we can work on it, because if we don't, this future that we both say that we want families and all this stuff, it's not going to happen with each other, because I said we have to get over that first bridge of communication. We have to get over that issue. After a while, he ends up clean, fresh out, snapping, like being someone that I never saw before. Why are you always complaining about me to me? And then he started using exclamation marks in the text message. He never did that before. Like, just start going crazy. He flips out. Oh, I erased everything, because when I'm done with you, I erase your name on my phone. I erase every trace of text messages, everything. Like, I was just done. He starts, you coming at me like this and that. I wish you could just make me feel better, but no. And it's like, how are you turning this around on me? And then I started to notice a pattern of every time I would say how I felt, he would turn it back around on me. It's like he never ever would say he's sorry. Now, this is the second time, because when he was on the vacation, he did the same flip out. He said, okay, it sounded like you complaining too much about me. I'm just gonna leave this phone in a room, and I'm just not gonna talk, because there ain't no point of being disappointed on my trip. And I'm like, it's over. So then I'm starting thinking about him, and I'm like, okay, he's the only boy, he's the youngest, his next sibling above him is 10 years older, he's probably really spoiled, he comes from a wealthy family, I'm thinking about all these things, trying to figure out what's building and creating his character, because at this point I'm thinking he's overly sensitive, he's spoiled, and he is controlling. You flip out. He was like, I'm having a bad day, but all you can do is complaining about me and this and that, and just going crazy. This is through text messages, because remember, he wouldn't get on the phone. So I'm like, okay, at this point it's a Wednesday and you still ain't got on the phone, and you got back, you here Monday. So I say, do you have a woman living with you or something? Oh my God. He flipped the heck out. He was like, a woman living with me? Yeah, I have 3 women living with me. I said, oh, you do? Okay. What do you mean? It's like 3 wives. I was like, okay, be more specific. What are you talking about? He's like, I'm playing. For every dumb question is a dumb answer. And I'm like, is this real? Are you talking to me, Darra? You done lost your black mind. I am not the 1, 2, or the 3. You got the right chick and a wrong chick at the same time. I'm not in a good space. My mind's messed up. Then he's like, a few days ago, my dad and my auntie got admitted into ICU. This and that. Just starts snapping heavily. So I don't know what's going on. I don't know if that's the case. I would like to think that nobody would make up a story and say their family is sick. He wanted things to be his way. He was a man that did not like to be questioned. And he was used to women just being like, oh, okay. Oh, that happened? Oh, okay. Then I started to notice that he always had an excuse about something. And I'm like, why you always got an excuse even when I don't even be asking you why? But when I would finally say my feelings about things, it was stop complaining. So at this point, I'm turned off immediately. But before I could say I was turned off, he had the nerve to tell me he getting turned off because I'm saying this, I'm telling him this, telling him that, and I'm like, I specifically said in my message, I'm not telling you, I'm asking you if you could put more effort behind picking up the phone and calling. Usually I don't even do that. I'll be like, I'm out. Why I was being patient with this guy, Lord, only Jesus knows. But keep in mind, I only knew the guy for 2 months, and when you're getting to know people, first of all, it's already hard when they don't live where you live. Then it was some point where he said something like, let me breathe, with the D word or something. I'm like, what? And then I said, you using profanity towards me and this isn't that. And he's like, I didn't use profanity. And it's like, it's in the I was through. He continues to blow up and sound crazy and is accusing me of things and just I don't know who you are, and and that told me immediately that I was right. He's mad because I'm hitting everything on the head. You must have somebody living with you, I'm assuming. You're mad because I'm not willing to accept you just texting me. You're mad, you don't want to answer my questions. You're mad because of that. So you get defensive every time, and then you blow up on me. Then he says, then he knew that it was over, because before I could end it, he says, and if you try to break it off with me, then that's just your decision. And I'm like, first of all, that's a dumb, stupid thing to say, because common sense is my decision. I don't need, now you still trying to think for me. You can't nobody think for Darra. And so I'm like, oh, okay, this is how you act when you don't get your way. I was like, thank you, Jesus. Praise God. Thank you, Lord. You are showing me this man, because this man is selling me on what he wants with me, this future, all this stuff. And so you're showing me, you're revealing him to me, that Darra, not him. I know it's been a long time. I know you I know you tired. I know you don't like dating and this and that. But this is not where I want you to settle. All the questions I asked him, he never answered them. So at this point, I'm just like, it's over. So then I started thinking back to everything that happened. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, this man is controlling. I noticed that he would always get me to conform to his way. Like if I say a way that I thought about something, he would say, yeah, but also, he was always trying to get me to see things his way. And even at the hotel, like I came out the room in stretch pants and a t-shirt. That's what I was sleeping in. And he was like, you sleeping in that? And I said, I am tonight. And he was like, oh. And I'm like, I don't know you to be sleeping in anything less. Like, what the heck? Like, this was discussed before I got here. Whenever someone spaz out like that, flip out on you like that, that's signs that this person has an anger issue. And there had been other situations, not towards me, but towards other people with him, that I was like, he got a little anger issue or whatever. So I'm just saying this to say that could have been my situation. Being that he blew up so bad like that, and he's controlling, and he can never be wrong about anything, can never admit he's wrong, he could have been very aggressive and a bully if I had of. And then you asking me if I would consider if I would ever move and all of that with you. No, boo-boo, because you're crazy. You got issues, just psycho. So the moral of the story is, young ladies, we have to have our antennas on. And when I say antennas, I mean our discernment antennas. Those discernment antennas will help us detect when we're heading in the wrong direction. If you are a Christian and you have a relationship with God, you know that after all these years, like, I'm gonna speak for myself, after all these years, I've spent time studying scriptures, going to church, watching sermons on social media, all of the above. I've been fed, like I'm fed. And I praise God and I thank God that I'm anointed, because I was covered in the whole situation. At some point, you have to tap in. And when I say tap in, I mean you have to catch the signs and know when to do an about face. God has equipped you with enough. It is time to take charge and really, really apply that, because there were signs in the beginning that actually should have stopped me from even going on to 2 months. But because there's certain things I want in my life right now, and like I said, this has been a very crazy turn upside down year for me, I was ready for something fresh, and I was trying to be spontaneous and do something I never did before. But I was stepping out of the path of what God had for me. God is the only one that could see the path laid out before you. God could see that this man has some issues that you don't know about. And no, it's not for you to go in that direction. You're doing too much complaining about me. You're disappointing me. Me. But I'm here to let you know, if there's someone that you're dating and you see similar signs like that, or they're trying to pressure you and talk you into doing things that you don't want to do, or help you trying to make you change your view on things, that's a red flag. He wanted me to wait and see. He was like, hold out just a little bit longer. This man is going to show you himself. I started to feel like his goal could have been to knock me up and have me trapped or something. I don't know. I just started getting flashes of me living in a big house with a baby, him not being there, and me being controlled, me not knowing where he is, him being able to do whatever he want to do and not answer to me and tell me anything. I also got flashes of it being an abusive relationship. Needless to say, it's over now, of course. I don't care if he sees this video, he probably won't. He's too selfish. I don't believe that he's gonna look for me and see what I'm doing or whatever. Always remember that God wants the best for you. And he is going to protect you no matter what it is, where you are. And so I'm just thankful on today that God was with me, and that I'm thinking that the lesson for me, because I'm the type, when relationships and stuff don't work out, I'd be so mad that I met the person, and why was I put through this, and God, you know my heart, you know what I want, you know I'm not this type of person, you know. I'd be so caught up in that, when the lesson I'm starting to believe is for me to understand that it's not necessarily about never meeting a person. It's about being thankful that God is protecting you, because things could have gone a lot worse. That is not me. That is not what I want for me, and that's not what God wants for me. That's not you, and that's not what God wants for you. So I'm saying all this to say, pay attention to the signs. pay attention to the signs. You have to. That is how you are going to stay on the correct path to where God has for you, to what he has for you. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Please subscribe to my channel. I'll have all of my handles to my social media right down below. Thank you. Love you all.